Good evening and welcome to this week's Cockney Magpie show. Joined tonight by my co-host, Mondo. How's it going, Sav?
I'm all right, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. I've got to stop calling you. I'm going to get so much shit one day.
No, you'll never get over it.
They're going to catch on. Why'd you call her your co-host? Secret that no one will ever know.
No one will ever know how
no one will ever know. It's a secret between me and Sav, and that's how it's staying. I'm also joined by Adam from Newcastle Fans TV. How's it going, big man?
Evening. Yeah, it's good, Josh. Sav, thanks for having us on.
No worries.
Looking forward to it.
I'm glad you are, because I haven't got a clue what's going on tonight. Yeah, when you get to a pod, you're like, oh, mate, you get to a pod, and you're like, do you know, I'm not prepared. I don't know what's happened this week. I've just been following, like, Twitter stenders. The best soap opera in the world.
It'll be good to talk about some football, put it that way.
Yeah, that's it. Proper football as well, back when we were good. So what we do on this is we have a solid chat about some memorable seasons, something from the past, some retro stuff. Just makes people remember the good side of Newcastle United back when we did actually celebrate scoring goals and being semi-decent. And we're going to go with your season this week, Adam, which is the 11-12 season.
11-12. So when you asked me, I tried to pick a season. I've had a season ticket since 2004. So I tried to obviously pick a season, that I remember pretty well. And in that time, I got a season ticket the year Bobby Robson was sacked. So pretty much bar one season, it's all been pretty dreadful. And it was obviously the year Pardew stormed us up the league. We finished fifth at the end. Some great memories from that season. Probably the best memories in the last 10 years by the championship year with Rafa. But yeah, it's great memories, some great players in the team. It was great. I did a bit of research here, great to go back through some of the goals. Yeah, just, a lot more positive than us talking about this season.
Definitely. It's definitely the best season of the Ashley leadership.
Yeah.
Do you know what? To be honest, I actually at first really liked Pardew. I thought he done really good for us. He got us attacking. I know it all went wrong for him in the end and he was horrendous towards the end, but the first couple of seasons he was in, he was brilliant. And
well and Pardew, what went wrong is he stuck up for Mike Ashley too much in the end.
Yeah.
All his interviews started getting a bit poisonous, and there was the fact it wasn't as toxic as it is now in the fan base, to be fair. But it was pretty bad towards the end. Yeah. But I got to go on the back of the season, my first ever European away game, and I'll never forget Pardew for doing that for someone of my age, because it probably won't happen again in a while. So yeah, he's got his good memories, but it didn't end the way any of us really wanted to.
Ended sour, didn't it? Sav, what's your memories on Pardew?
Yeah, I agree. I think it's unheard of us to finish fifth, isn't it? Really? Could you imagine how happy we'd be? We'd be happy with just not getting relegated. So
I'd be happy with 10.
Finishing fifth. But yeah, it went all bad. But I agree. At the beginning, I really quite liked Pardew. I didn't, but it was a shame that it all went wrong, really.
It's when he came in as part of that. Yeah, well, that's it. But he came in as part of that Cockney Mafia group, didn't he? That was very aptly nicknamed. But the poison was Dennis Wise in that group. And I always say about that. I don't think Pardew, yes, he was a yes man, but I do think Wise and Lambias were main culprits of everything that went wrong there. But yeah. I think when he was here, he built a hell of a squad, especially around that season. It's one of those seasons we were great, but at the same time we weren't great. We had some stonking results.
Yeah, when he came in, he got the job of Houghton, who was obviously a fan favourite. And I think it was the December of our first year back in the league. We got promoted under Chris Houghton. We were doing pretty well. I think we were about 12th, 13th-ish. And, Pardew got in, obviously not very well liked by the fans. And he did win us over for the first couple of years. Some of the football was good. Obviously, the players helped him a lot. We had some quality footballers that we'll go on to speak about. So yeah, it was some cracking results and some absolutely terrible ones under him.
Yeah, no, there was. I've just had a question come for you, Adam. I'm just going to play it before we get into your season, because from a mutual friend who's one of your co-hosts on Newcastle Fans TV. So it says, "Hi all, can you ask Adam to recap his awful Matt Ritchie and Adam from last Sunday, please?"
Well, the match kicked off at about 2:30. I think I'd been drinking since 12 o'clock. My video was on 5:30. So I kind of, when I come to score on the players, I kind of forgot exactly what had happened in the game. And I give Matt Ritchie a 6, which Sam wasn't happy about.
Oh.
Yeah,
I would have given him an 8.
I put it up to a 7
just
after
trying to put the ball in.
Yeah, I got some abuse, so I put him up to a 7. But in fact, I can't really. I remember the goal, Willock's goal going in. But before that, I didn't really remember a lot, and it's an awful position to be when you're scoring the players. So yeah, I had to apologise to Sam after, but
I think you owe Richie a song, to be honest.
This is why everyone always says to me, "Oh, how do you get through the match without a drink?" And I'm like, because I'm not going to remember it. If I have a drink, I'm just going to forget what's happened. It's a rookie mistake that.
Do you know what though? I've been going to games now for 17 years, and you can't get through without being pissed. It's not the same. Even when you're indoors, you've got to have a few.
Especially, I've got a terrible memory. So for like scoring the players, I like to watch the game back before, but we go on straight after the game, and you can't. So,
well, to a point, you definitely owe him a song.
No, you got no chance.
What do you mean? Rich is fucking magic. He wears a magic.
Yeah. I don't have the same voice as you.
Matt
Rich, that's only my first.
Matt Rich is absolutely razzes out. So
I was so glad to see him back at the weekend.
I think it just shows Bruce. I know we're not going to talk about this season, but Bruce has been that stubborn the last 6 or 7 weeks not playing him, and he shows why he needs to be in the team.
Absolutely, it's just his passion. He's just a fan for a reason, because he's wild. And we love a wild one up here. Sav, I've got a question for you, actually, and I think Adam's going to absolutely get it in the neck tonight, to be fair. Sav, do you have any lovely teddies like Adam?
Lovely teddies? What?
Just look above Adam's head.
What? Lovely teddies? I don't
Lovely teddies. Can you not see him above his head?
Oh.
Yeah, I'm in my daughter's room.
I was going to say, what? I haven't got any that look like Adam.
Yeah, I'm in a more macho room than me. I get banished to my daughter's room when I do any videos. So
I'm normally in my kitchen, but I've been banished upstairs today. So I've got like, the grey backdrop. I've got no shirts. I've got nothing hanging up. So it's neutral territory. But no,
I'm always in my room.
You've just got pictures to share, haven't you?
Yeah, everywhere.
Love is real. There's be some heartbroken people out there, you know.
Well, the story behind why I have to sit in my room rather than downstairs is that dogs sit and watch for anyone coming past the window, and they will kick off. If I barricade them in my room, they don't do it. They go to sleep. So that's why I always do it from my bedroom.
And dog's wild. Like, wild. Right, let's talk about some football. So, Adam, 11-12. Tell me your best memories about that season.
Well, the season kicked off. I remember we had Sunderland, second game of the season at the Stadium of Light.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Taylor over the wall, brilliant. Very nerve-wracking game from what I remember. Obviously, we'd beaten them the 5-1 the year before. And we were expecting a bit of a tank. I think Bruce was in charge of them actually that day. And
he was in charge of the 5-1.
Yeah, I think he was in charge of the 1-0 as well.
Was he the 1-0?
I think he still had his job then. Yeah, so that was my first memory. And just early on in the season, we started the season really well and finished it poorly, actually. But there was just a bit of fight about them. You know, we had some quality footballers on the pitch, Johan Kabay. You know, Colaccini was in fine form. It was just a good, solid team to watch, a good balanced team. We're getting rid of, people forget, we're getting rid of Kevin Nolan, we're getting rid of Joey Barton in that summer. And everyone was a bit, getting rid of too much experience here. It's going to be a bad one. It'll be Pardew out after a few games. And we just started really solidly. And beating the Mackhams always helps. And it just gives us a good, it gives a good foundation for that season. And Pardew started getting the fans on side at the start of that year because there was still a lot of uncertainty. And it just started going right for us that season.
It was a good season. You saying about the players we sold, we let go of a fair few first team players, really. But written down, we let go of the best we've ever had in Sol Campbell. I mean, I was heartbroken when he left. Do you know what? I'll be honest, I don't actually remember him playing. I don't remember name a game that he actually sat and played.
He got took off. We were getting beat the season before, 3 or 4-0 off Stoke at half time.
Oh, was that the blue kit? Were we wearing that?
He was awful. He started the game, he was about 10 stone overweight. Yeah. And I'm sure we were 3 or 4-0 down at half time. Someone may correct us if I'm wrong in the comments, and he got subbed off Pardew. Never played again.
I'll never know why we ever signed him, to be honest. But we as you say, we got rid of Nolan, Barton, Routledge, who I thought actually did really well for us when he was here. Jose Enrique and Alan Smith left that summer as well on loan.
Yeah, there was a lot of players like they were influential in the dressing room. Them three, Nolan Barton and Smith. Well, I know Smith wasn't the greatest for us, but he's a big character. Everyone was expecting us to
didn't he?
Yeah, everyone was expecting us to struggle. Kabai was pretty unknown at the time. Demba Ba just signed for us. There was a lot of uncertainty around his injuries. Stoke had rejected him, and we took a gamble on him. Obviously paid off for us. So there was a lot of uncertainty around the squad and who was going to show up, and it did work out well in the end.
We signed some ballers in that summer, though. I mean, as you signed Kabai, Demba Ba come in. For me, Demba's up there is one of the best strikers we've had at the club in such a short period of time as well. He was just absolutely phenomenal. But there's some players people signed. Obviously, we signed Cisse in the winter, sorry. Rob Elliott came in. David Santon came in. And there's two that I thought were really underrated that came in, actually. One was Mehdi Abid, who I thought could have been he could have been a superstar in the Premier League. And Sylvain Marvo actually came in that summer. And for the games he played in, I thought he was decent.
He had some good games. He was just never consistent enough. He was never getting picked enough. It reminds me of the long staffs in this game. He's in one game out the other. He never really convinced Pardew.
Reminded me a lot of Charles Nzogbia in the way he'd blast onto the scene. He'd have a couple of good games and he'd disappear for weeks on it. But I thought there was potential there. Do you remember much about him, Sav?
You what, sorry?
Do you remember much about Marvo?
Not really. Do you know what? And I said to you before, I didn't know what season it was till tonight, so I haven't got any notes or nothing. But no, I don't, to be honest, because it was quite a long time ago. And also, it's back. It's like when we talk about the 90s and stuff. It's back in a season when we was actually grafting and playing really well, and they just seem like miles off now. The players that we had then, in comparison to what we've got now, were real fighters, and they had what we was talking about, Matt Ritchie, like actual passion and drive to perform. And I think that's why we did so well that season. And I know it ended quite badly, but actually for a season, that was quite a memorable one. Yeah,
it was. I mean, you say it, we had a lot of players that went under the radar because they weren't superstars. I mean, it was a season in which we had Danny Guthrie, we had Mike Williamson, Gutierrez, Taylor, Patino at the back, Lovenkrands up front as well.
James Perch was phenomenal that season.
But if you think now, those players wouldn't go under the radar.
No,
they went under the radar
they'd be superstars.
The quality of the squad that we had at the time.
You'd kill for a Williamson and a Guthrie and. But at that time,
did we have? Was Teodi in the? Sorry, Sav, go on.
I was to say it's bad because you forget them because they didn't really feature a lot. But actually, as players, they were really good players.
Yeah, solid. I'm not. I don't know if Teodi was there that season. I'm not sure if he signed in the summer after.
No, because I remember the only player we signed the summer after was Anita, because that's what the big issue was the season after. So he must have been. We must have had Teodi in that.
He must be there, yeah.
In that, I'm trying to think when was the 4-4 Arsenal? It wasn't this season.
Do you know what? I know what date it was because it was on my birthday.
It was a season before. So Teodi was there.
Yeah, because he wore. I'm thinking the shirts. He wore the Northern Rock with the collar a bit like this one actually.
Yeah,
and it was
Teodi signed the year we came back up. So it was the first season Teodi and Kabai played together, and they complemented each other so well, considering they'd never played together.
They were a dream, mate. Yeah. They were such a dream.
You were talking, if people were wanting to buy Teodi for 45-50 million, that season he was that good.
Yeah.
It's good. I say this show's good because you kind of reminisce a bit, it jogs your memory. So yeah, you forget how good Teodi and Kabai were.
Is you like to sort of just go off on tandem. I know a lot of shows do the same, very similar, but I think if you just sit down and talk about the season, all of a sudden you start going, do you know what happened in that season? And that's what people want to see, is they don't want to see it scripted and everything. I mean, I've got notes just to jog me a little bit, but you sit there and go, do you remember this bit happening and that happening? Like you were saying about the 4-4 from the season before, and all of so many stories and so many memories building up. Mostly pissed, but it was still mental. But Sana, the 11-12 season, we had some phenomenal results. We had some massive downs, but we had some phenomenal results. I mean, Demba Ba hit back-to-back hat-tricks against, I think we beat Blackburn 3-1 and Stoke 3-1. Demba
Stoke,
Bar
yeah.
here,
Stoke.
a hat trick up here and a hat trick down at Stoke. I'm not answering that question. There's a question just popped up and I'm not answering it. No Bruce talk. Sam, no Bruce talk.
No Bruce talk.
No Bruce talk. But that's the season we actually turned Man United over, wasn't it, as well, up here?
3-0, yeah.
That was
Demba Bar scored the opener in. Kabay scored a free kick just after half time with just got the floor seats. And he put it off the crossbar. It was miles out as well.
I missed it. I was still in the concourse.
Phil Jones put a one in about a couple of minutes to go, on goal. Absolute calamity.
Yeah. The Demba Bar goal was that swivel volley where he made Rio Ferdinand look like a chump, which we all love, to be honest. And yeah, that Kabay goal. I didn't even know we'd scored. I'm so pissed. I'd been in the concourse, come back up, and I thought we'd gone 2-0 up when the own goal went in. And then I got back to the highlights and went, oh, Jesus, Kabay score.
More nervous than you had to be the whole half.
Yeah. I'm like, oh, my God, we're not going to hold on to this. We're not going to hold on to this. But that game stood out for me massively. And then that was the December, wasn't it? And then we signed Cisse in the January.
Yeah, and then I say the rest of that season's history with him, his goals. I think it was 12 and 13 at the end of the season. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I've never seen half a season like it. And the goals,
the home form
just happens. Go on, Adam. What say?
I'd say that the home form that season, we didn't lose many home games.
No.
I think that's why it sticks out. I don't get to as many away as I'd like to, but we did lose quite a lot of away. But home, especially when we signed Cisse, I think he scored in. I'm sure it was 12 and 13 in all games, but 8 or 9 of them were at home. And
do you know what? It was 13. It was 13 and 14 he got. It was 13 and 14, yeah. But I remember his debut because I went to the game with my uncle and came on, and his first touch was horrendous. I remember he absolutely ballooned it away from his body. And we both sat there and went, oh my God, what have we signed here? Because you do, first impression, if you got a player making that touch, you're sitting there going, Jesus Christ. And then all
he never
of a
looked
sudden,
like a footballer, did he?
No, he looked like he was
didn't look like
Amiobi for looking like Bambi. But then this ball dropped in and he's caught it on the half volley above his shoulder and just knocked it into the top corner against Villa. And you're like, oh my God, what have we just watched? Yeah. Like, I loved him. That season, the season after, was just, Cisse was unreal.
Can you think, though, like you saying about you seeing his first touch and thinking that, how much stress you must feel signing for a new club and then going out the first time and making that sort of mistake? Like,
50,000 people going, oh my God.
But Josh, I don't think he ever really had a good first touch. I don't think he was ever known for that. I don't think he was ever known for kind of trapping the ball. He just had this. I mean, I've never known a player be caught offside as much as him. If you remember his last few months at the club, all he did was get caught offside. But he was just what we needed going in that second half, just a clinical goal scorer. He would score goals outside the box, inside the box, left foot, right foot, headers. I don't know. It was obviously just one of them things. Everything just went for him as well. He had that bit luck, but
he just had that golden touch.
He was never the best. He was never the best footballer, but him and Demba Bar just complemented each other so well that season.
Was it that season?
Demba Bar's form actually dropped a bit after he came, but
because he moved him out to the left wing, didn't he?
Yeah, it was.
When Cisse came in, he moved him out. But
he did, yeah.
He just had that golden touch, didn't he, throughout that 6-month period? And every touch just flew.
I mean, what would be your favourite goal? I mean, obviously he's got the Chelsea ones, so both of them stick out. That one against Swansea,
Swansea goal.
You can remember it. It was kind of a chip / finish in the bottom corner.
Yeah, just fell backwards. I was watching it yesterday because we had that orange shirt on, didn't we?
Yeah.
And I remember
massively under pressure in that game.
Yeah, they battered us for 90 minutes, and then the ball broke through to him, and he sort of, while falling backwards, managed to swivel his hips, lob the goalkeeper, and put it into the bottom corner. And you're like, I remember that game. I wasn't there. I was actually on a golf course. I'd gone to a golf day with the boys, and I was watching it on my phone. We got kicked out after he scored the second one because I went apeshit. Because the season was so important for us. Like, we had not had a season like that in such a long period of time. And the fact we were battling for Champions League, which we should have got, really. we were that good that season. We should have got Champions League.
But it was only our second season back in the Premier League.
I know, it's mad, isn't it? But
there's not
we've
many
always
teams doing that now.
We've always belonged in the Premier League. We've always belonged in the top 8 of the Premier League, minimum. And it's just when you read seasons where we've been fantastic, you do sit back and you go, like, what was that? What actually happened? But in terms of my favourite Cisse goal from that season is probably the first one against Chelsea. Yeah, the second one was a phenomenon. I don't know what happened. Like, the goal was ridiculous, but the first goal, the technique, the movement, the fact it was against Chelsea and it was the first half, and they'd been on us the whole since we kicked off, and then the composure, just a flick and kick, like, unreal. What a talent!
Yeah. Sav, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I knew you was going to say this, and I know you two have been watching clips today, and I have. Do you know what? This is my fault. Yeah, I still, yeah, I think the Chelsea game won, to be fair, but I couldn't pick one of them. But yeah, no, next week, because I now know what the season is next week, I'm going to be sitting watching clips, and you watch me come back, and I'm going to look really intelligent.
I'm going to give you your own season again, Sav. You can take another one.
And take another season?
Take another season. Choose another one. A modern one.
What? Oh, what? For next week?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah, that's fine.
You got a model one. Do you know what I remember? Go on.
I'm going to sit and read all. I'm going to sit and properly do this like I did my first one. Because ever since you haven't told me, and I come on at 7, and you're just like, right, we're doing this, and I'm like, oh, are we? Like, I don't know. My laptop's not charged. I don't know what I'm doing.
I just like surprising yourself.
No, you like to do that thing where you throw to me, and then I don't know what I'm talking about.
No, not at all.
It's so easy to do. Everyone always does it to me.
But going back to Cisse.
Yeah, let's go back to Cisse.
Go back to Cisse. That cheeky little smile of his. But I remember being at the Chelsea game when Amiobi nodded that ball down. The first thought everyone around me had was, what's he doing? Because you saw his legs swing. And you're like, is he putting it out of play? Is he like, what's going on? And then we actually didn't realise it had gone in at first. Yeah. And then when it did, no one cheered because there was this, oh my God moment. It was only until you saw the players react, everyone went apeshit, but no one actually knew what happened. I didn't know what happened until afterwards. But you realise it was special at the time just from the reaction of the players.
They're the best games. They're the best goals, though, aren't they? The ones where it don't look like it's gone in, and then all of a sudden you see the players celebrating.
Yeah. Phenomenal.
It was such an important game as well, really, because we'd just been beaten 4-0 off Wigan, I think, at the weekend. Wigan had turned us over at their stadium. And we were pushing for Europe, and we were like, oh, we're going to bottle this. And then that was such a massive result because we went on to lose the last 2 games as well. So it wasn't just that, we had to cling on because Cisse scored pretty early, didn't he? It must have been the first 20, 25 minutes he scored. And you go to Stamford Bridge, and we had to cling on pretty much the whole game. And I remember where I was watching it on the telly. I was in a cricket club around here in Durham, and it says Cisse Amiobi chested it down. You're thinking, get in the corner, just get in the corner. And then he does that, and it was just the away end. I'll never forget watching the away end on the tape. Just madness, like a brilliant moment for probably one of the most historic moments in the history of the club now. Really, when you think back what we used to in the last 10 years, you think, wow, we don't get many moments like that now. So yeah, he's a legend, really. Cisse, he'll always be remembered.
Oh, he was great. Like, he was fantastic. That I'm sure that game actually cemented us finishing 5th. And I think it came down to if we won one of the last 2 games, we would have finished 4th. That cemented us finishing above Chelsea, finishing above Liverpool that season. Won me a fortune off my pals because they're all like Chelsea fans, Liverpool fans, and all season, it's not going to carry on. You won't stay where you are. But
that's typical Newcastle, though, isn't it? Just to fall slightly short of the mark every time.
I think Champions League would have killed us that season. I don't know. Europa League was tough enough, but.
You forget, like, it was Mike Williamson as well that season. I'm sure it was Mike Williamson and Colaccini at the back. Mike Williamson he got some stick at times, but he was absolutely quality that season as well.
Iron Mike.
Iron Mike.
Iron Mike, he was phenomenal. It was just the grafters of the team. You had the players that you don't necessarily go out and go, he's phenomenal. But for us that season, they were.
Danny Simpson right back as well. Danny Simpson was our fullback that season.
Simo and No, Enrique had left. Enrique got sold to Liverpool because that's the season he ended up in goal against us.
In goal, yeah.
That was funny.
Andy Carroll, yeah. Trying to think who played left back that season then.
It must have been Taylor. Got to have been Ryan Taylor, innit?
Yeah, he did. Played a lot of games.
I can't think who else was out there because obviously we still had Ben Arthur at that time. Still had Guti. Actually, I think Guti was put back there. Oh no, we signed Santon.
Santon, we are.
And it's going to look fixed because the minute I said that, Sam's comment popped up. But we signed Santon.
Sam's got the best memory ever. So.
Yeah, I know. His Newcastle memory is insane.
Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely insane. Santon was though. I really liked Santon.
Yeah, he got a lot of stick, didn't he, as well? He was one of them ones, got a lot of stick towards the end of us, and he went on to play for... Did he go back into Milan, or went on to play for,
Yeah, didn't he go to Inter Milan and Roma?
Yeah, he was a good player. He was quite young when we signed him.
Yeah, brilliant. He loved the nightlife, didn't he? He got himself a little Geordie wife and enjoyed himself. But he was a great player. But no, that was the season. Obviously, Enrique ended up in goal. Got loads of stick because he said he moved to Liverpool to finish playing for us. And then we finished higher than them. Actually, that was Cisse. They got 2 in that Liverpool game. Andy Carroll went down like an absolute, like been shot by the heavens.
And he went over the hurdles, didn't he?
Yeah. Like he went 1-on-1. I remember it. He went 1-on-1. All he had to do was dink the ball past Timmy Krul, and he just decided, you know what, I'm going to try and get you sent off. And he went down an absolute sack of potatoes and just took the booking. Bless him. Yeah. Good player for us. He was.
Good games that season.
There was some mental games. I mean, the ones we picked out and Cisse's goals. It's a great season. Fantastic season. But what we do now is we're going to pick an 11 of our favourite players. And I'm going to see what you've done and fight away for the dodgy ones that I don't like. We tried to do this last week with Warren Barton, but every player who came back, if you just went, yeah, all right, do you know what? That's fair.
Yeah, we just do Warren's.
That's fair. Because I said, like, the previous few weeks, obviously, I can never remember a right back. I don't know what it is about that position, but I can never remember a right back. So Warren Barton was never mentioned. Not for the fact he wasn't a great player or a great servant, but you just sit there and you go, who played right back? But when he's picking out names, you go, yeah, do you know what? That's fair. That's fair. I mean, obviously, Shearer's up front, regardless.
Yeah.
So go on, who are you starting with in goal?
Me?
Yeah, you.
Well, I mentioned it before, Josh. I've gone for players I've seen live and who I remember. So I've had a season ticket since 2004. So I haven't gone for all the entertainers. Well, I've gone for one because I remember him live. But so in goal, it was between 2, but I had to go for the best goalkeeper the club's ever had in Shea Given.
Shea Given. Is the other one?
Yeah. It was Timmy Krul. I'm a massive fan of Tim Krul, but Given edged it for me.
I'd agree. I think Given's the best keeper we've ever had at the club.
He was just saved us so many times in big games, not just league games, Champions League games, everything like.
Why are you laughing? Were you laughing at me?
No, I just saw
goalkeeper.
I saw your face. I was like,
oh no. I was like, why are you laughing at me? That's really mean. No, I'm going to go with, because actually Warren Part agreed with me last week. It's my original. It's Cernacek. Because I did see him live, and I thought he was good. You
did, but I'm going to veto you again. I'm going with Given.
Oh, it was so late. We can't have Given every week.
We can. It's Given on Dubravka. That's it.
Dubravka's not even in his league.
Sam, you interviewed Alan Shearer. No one ever knew that.
Yeah, he doesn't like to talk about it. So.
I've never seen it, to be honest. What was it like?
Like Sam's internet went off, so Sam doesn't like to tell him that. Sam's internet went off halfway through the conversations. Yeah,
my
so
heart would have broken. Like, genuinely, my heart would have broken. Get that internet fixed, Sam. Right, so you've gone 3-5-2, haven't you?
For the same as you, mate, because I was really struggling for fullbacks. Aaron Hughes was up there, but when I say greatest ever of all time, he was a great. It wasn't really someone who sat there for us. So I went 3-5-2 because I could think I've got one questionable centre half, but we've had some. It was more like how many dreadful defenders have we had over the years when I was trying to think of this today?
Most of them. We could do a dreadful 11, to be fair.
That would be a good one, but then it's not really positive, is it?
There's no Bruce talk. Right, so go on. Who have you got centre backs?
I've got 3. I've gone Jonathan Woodgate. I think there's no question about it. I think, although he didn't play many games, he was absolutely brilliant. I've gone Colaccini because I thought he was a great servant and an absolute warrior. And probably the most controversial one, because again I was struggling, but I just used to love him when he played with Stephen Taylor, even though he did have a bit of an error in him. When he was in his prime, I thought he was pretty decent. But again, there's better defenders. But again, I'm going on what I've witnessed. I didn't see Philip Albert much, players like that. So
that's fair.
That's the controversy.
I definitely agree with Woody. I think we've said every week, Sav, that he's probably the best defender we've ever had at the club.
Yeah, he's always in ours.
I'd agree with Colaccini. And normally, do you know what? We get the guests to sing the Colaccini song. And so far, I've only had one. I've had one semi-attempt by, was it Kendall? Kendall had a go, didn't she?
Yeah, I think it was Kendall.
So Adam, take it away.
Yeah, again, you've got no chance. Maybe when I've done a couple more shows with you. I think it was 11:30 at night.
Absolutely plastered. Oh, Colaccini.
Oh, I've sung it many a times, just not after 2 cold lights.
I just sing it walking around, to be honest. Steve, do you know what? I get it with Taylor. I do. He on his day he was class, but was he enough? That's the thing. I think he's most famous for getting shot against Villa, isn't he? That's the problem. I
just think I remember when he did have the passion and the fight and he was on form, and I remember he used to run to the Gallagher and give it the big one, and it used to get the fans up, and there was a big roar, and then people started taking the mickey out of him for doing it, so he stopped. But there was just a player in there. I don't think he ever fulfilled his potential, like breaking into the England squad type thing.
Yeah, he never quite got there, did he?
Yeah, he always had that mistake. But I said, for players I've seen live, he did have some quality games for us as well. Like, obviously, there's better 90s defenders, but you think the last 20 years, we haven't had many great centre halves. When you do something like this and you try and think back, you go, we've had some dross. Like,
but the problem is you want to try and be different as well, because everyone could list off the same 11 every week.
Oh, yeah.
It'd be easy, but I always remember Taylor dancing in front of the goalkeepers.
Yeah.
Ever there was a free kick, you just see him standing there giving it all this, and you're like, mate, what are you doing?
Once again, Stoke, didn't it?
Yeah, it did, yeah. I'll give you Taylor this week. Do you know what? I used to have, when this shirt that I've got on first come out, I actually had Taylor 27 on the back of it.
Would you not consider Fabian?
What, Mr. Bear?
Yeah.
Or do you know what? He's a very handsome man, isn't he?
Yeah,
reminds me a lot of myself.
He's a good centre back as well.
You know what we shared? If Rafa had stayed, Shah would have still been absolutely brilliant. He was one of the best I've seen in a long time under Rafa. But since our current
he was showing signs of improvement before his injury, though. His latest one.
Yeah,
I agree. I think the same as you. I think under Rafa, he looked like a £6 million player. At the minute, it's not quite there, but I'll take a share over a Taylor, personally. But I'm going to give Sav one this week.
Yeah, usually vetoes all mine. Goes, no, you're talking rubbish.
No, not all of them. We always put Shearer in. Right, so we're going to move into the midfield. We'll start on the right.
Only one, Nobby Solano.
Big shout. Sav?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say him, but I would like to also shout out Keith Gillespie, who I shout out every week.
Look, unless we can get him on, he's not going to the team. I'm going to be completely honest.
So mean.
Solano, for me personally, of all the... I've watched it since 96, and Solano's the best right midfielder we've ever had at the club.
Yeah,
we've had a lot of flair players, but Solano just gave everything, and he had everything. And
even when he came back to the club, came back to the club and played right back, he was just so professional, just excellent on the ball. He never let the club down ever.
No, he loved the club as well. Like, even when he left, I think I watched him on the NFTV podcast that he did with Sam, and he was just unreal. Yeah. Like, his openness, his honesty, and the way the club treat him, and I mean, Souness ruined it for him in the end, didn't he? So, but Robson and that, he was just brilliant. He was just pure class. So we'll go. Do you know what? We'll go over to the left. See who you've got on that wing. Then we'll move into the middle. Because I've always found the middle hard because there's so many.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
I mean, I struggled with the left in great left wingers I could remember watching over the last 20 years. The only one that really sprung to mind was Laurent Robert. But he was just a bit too unpredictable in his attitude and his performance. But when I was a kid, teenager growing up, I used to love Laurent Robert. I used to love watching him play football. Greatest 11, maybe not, but he's, unless Sav's got another one who's, jumping out for me, really struggled for a left winger. Like, Robert's my choice.
Go on, Sav.
Yeah, I agree with Bear actually. We had him last week, didn't we?
I think we've had him every week.
Yeah.
Didn't Warren Barton pushed for Ginola? But
yeah, I think he did.
I don't think Ginola was here long enough, and I loved him. He was a great player, but I always had a little soft spot for Robert.
Yeah.
I just thought he was this focal point, and
he was another absolute grafter as well.
Yeah, and he was a lunatic.
They're the best type of players, though, aren't they?
I will never forget watching him walk off the pitch in a pair of grey, bike smugglers.
Pair of pants.
Yeah, he just took his kit off, and you're like, I'll have a sock. Go on.
Fell out with Souness, didn't he? Fell out with Souness, so he was tight. I think he tried to take the mick out with Souness at the end because he'd never
played
him.
Who didn't fall out with Souness?
Yeah.
They all fell out with Souness. So we lost half of our best players. But no, there's not many guys I remember that you could shout shit at from 60 yards and he'd have a dig.
No.
And scored 2 of the best goals we've ever seen in a single match as well against Tottenham. Like,
power in his strikes, though.
Oh, unreal. And he loves life now as well. Like, if you follow him on Instagram, he's always on the piss. And he's always in the biggest stakes you've ever seen in your life. And travelling. But yeah, no, definitely 100% in that team. I'd completely agree. Now you got the tough bit, centre mid.
Well, yeah, I mean, God, I wrote that many down, but my first ever memory of a footballer, I went to my first ever game in '96 with Peter Beardsley.
Pedro.
He scored first ever goal. I witnessed at St James's Park, and there's someone in my mind always sticks about how good of a footballer he was in his day. 2 players I have that over him and Henrik Larsson, when Henrik Larsson was young. And obviously, you look back at how good of a footballer he was. I wish I had some more memories, but I do remember him playing football, so I've gone for Peter Beardsley in that centre.
Agree with Pedro. I think we had Pedro last week, but we had him up front. We put him alongside Shearer last week. So you got Pedro number 10.
Ooh.
And who's sitting in the middle?
I've gone. It might be a controversial one, but on his day, Johan Cabaye was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Very, very disappointing how he left the club, but you cannot fault the 3 years he had, how good of a footballer he was. And my other one was still between 2. I'm going to go Gary Speed.
Big shout. Who was the other?
It was going to be Kevin Nolan, but simply for the fact of how he carried us for a couple of years and got us out that championship. But Gary Speed was just every manager's dream. The work rate, the passion for the shirt. He could score a goal as well, considering he wasn't an attacking midfielder. Yeah, just looked. But I was devastated when we sold him in 2005. He was
cracking. He had a rocket shot on him. Great head.
Yeah, another one Souness came in and sold. He didn't get the club. Didn't get what Speed brought to the city. Yeah. No, it's no coincidence we went downhill when players like Gary Speed left the club, and he went and did well.
Absolutely. He did. He never let anyone down, did he? Like wherever he went, I think he's one of the best players we've ever had at the club. I think Sav, do you agree?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do agree with Beardsley and Gary Speed, and I didn't have a third one because I didn't know he was changing formation this week. So I'm gonna shout out big old Jeff Hendrick with his decent hairstyle.
How'd you kick people off streams?
Yeah.
No, I genuinely weren't prepared for a third one, so I haven't got one. So I'll just shove Jeff or John Joe in there. One
Do you know what? I've always got with centre midfielders. I think we've always been pretty blessed. I think it's one of the
Apart
positions.
From at the moment.
What do you mean? Isaac Hayden's a G. Don't even ever talk about Isaac.
Sorry, I've got your best friends.
He doesn't know that, but I know that deep down. But no, it's one of the positions we've always had quality. Batty, Speed, Lee, Kabaya, Tiati. The list is massive. Rob Lee. It's just we just had a decent core of centre midfielders. Kieran Dyer.
Yeah, I was a big fan of Kieran Dyer. I remember adoring Kieran Dyer as a bear. Massive fan of him, but then just not good, not as good as the others.
Nah, he should never have got Rob Lee's number 7. Like when they had to Lee, that was bang out of order. Like Rob Lee was still in his pinnacle. He still did a job for us, and he proved when Robson brought him back into the team. So, but memories, isn't it? It's what happens. It's the drama of Newcastle United. It always has been, always will be. So we've got 2 positions up front, and if one of them's not who I think it is, you're never coming on again.
Well, I've got one of them tattooed on my leg, so I've obviously got Alan Shearer. He's tattooed on my leg, so I kind of get away from him. I kind of.
You're not going for Coochie?
No, I'll give Coochie a miss. Maybe Sibierski in there.
Oh, I love Sibierski, you know.
There's no one better than Big Al. And alongside him, again, someone I worshipped as a Bairn growing up. I thought he was class again. He left the club under Souness in controversial ways, but I thought Craig Bellamy and Shearer were fantastic together.
Big.
Les Ferdinand, I've seen comments. I'm going off players I've seen live. I used to get excited when Craig Bellamy got the ball. And when he left us, he always caused us problems with playing against us, whether it was for Blackburn, Liverpool, Man City. Terrible attitude. I'll give anyone, that he did have a bad attitude on him at times, but you remember the Feyenoord game, one of the greatest moments in the history of the club. Him, great player on his day once his head was right, and him and Shearer complemented each other so well. Like, caused any defenders problems, any defenders.
Definitely. Do you know, it's exactly what I said last week, actually. I said, because I said Ferdinand on me, didn't I? And even Bart, do you know what? Warren Barton pulled a face. I don't know if it was a good face or a bad face, but I completely agree with you. I thought Bellamy was brilliant alongside Shearer. In my opinion, probably Shearer's best ever partner.
Ferdinand played really good with Shearer as well, though, didn't he?
Yeah. Shearer, Ferdinand in that. If Ferdinand had stayed for the season, I still say he won the league, like 100%. But I do think Bellamy was probably the best partner Shearer had, because they just complemented each other. Because Shearer got to that age where he was knocking a lot of things on.
Yeah.
And to have that speed, Bellamy was lightning. Absolute lightning. But the game against Feyenoord always stands out. Yeah. But he was a stubborn little shit, wasn't he?
His attitude stunk. He's another one, like Graham Souness got rid of a few, and he was one. But he enjoyed playing for the club when he was here. I remember, I met him a few times outside the ground as a young, and he always had time for the fans. It just went sour. It's I think that was memories onwards.
Yeah, no, I agree. He was definitely one of those players that just always stood out. Scored such important goals, and he was just. I do think he was probably Shearer's best partner.
No, I'd agree.
But no one comes close to Big Al. That's the problem we're always going to have. Is we are always going to live in the past in terms of we had the greatest striker in Premier League history. If his record ever gets broken, you still got to talk about the fact Alan Shearer did it when the Premier League was hard.
Oh yeah.
And 100%. He did it with proper defenders, and football weighed 5 stone, and boots that weren't quite as good as now, and he did that all with 3 really bad injuries.
And he didn't play in great teams. He played in a couple of great teams.
Even that Blackburn team, when he went to Blackburn, that team wasn't fantastic. He made that team fantastic.
We never had a great team. We had good managers. We had a good manager in Bobby Robson in kind of Shearer's prime, like ish towards the end. We never had great teams, really. Shearer made us look a lot better than we were at the time.
Yeah. Look at what he had around him even when he first signed. I mean, you had a few flair players, but compared to the other teams, it weren't a world-beating team. And we finished second, and we finished third, and we should have won the league. But I think that's what people forget. I mean, it's a whole other conversation about the greatest striker, but the only man that comes close to Shearer is Henry, and Henry always played in a team full of superstars.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the team, Harry Kane's playing it now. Harry Kane's looking possibly, if he stays injury free, possibly catch the record. But Harry Kane's playing in on the day a top class team, top class players around him. He hasn't got Carl Cort up alongside him, or Bassidas or Gavilan or players like that. Shearer had some dross around him at times.
Can you imagine Shearer getting fed nowadays by Son and Bale and Moura and Dele Alli rather than the tripe?
And he had 2 horrendous injuries. You know, people forget how good Shearer was.
We don't.
Yeah, and I'll agree with Josh. Like, it was so different back in the day. Like, footballers were running around with like blood spilling out their heads, still playing, and you know, it wasn't just tapped and then they went down and hit the floor. It was completely different. So I agree with the whole Harry Kane thing. It's not the same style of football anymore. So I don't really think, even if he did break it, you can forget about what Alan Shearer did back then.
No, he was phenomenal. And I always found about blood. They tried to put his heads off. Like, I always remember Shearer getting his head patched up against the Mackhams and coming back on, and he was man of the match for the rest of the game and scored, and it was just a great. Well, I love him. I don't care. I love him. He's the greatest I've ever seen, the greatest I'll ever see. And that, so I couldn't think of a better man, to be honest. So I'm guessing Shearer's your captain.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to stop loving Shearer for a minute. That's for later on. I do it every week. You know. We start talking about Shearer and I'm like, right, that's it. I'm involved. I'm invested now. So we've got Shay Given in goal. We've got a back three of Woody, Colo, Fabian Schär. It's a good looking back lineup, that, isn't it? Got all that hair.
Lovely.
We've got Nobby Slano on the right, Laurent Robert on the left, Bayern Speed holding that midfield together. Number 10, hit our scoring goals, you know. What a team. And then we got Big Al and Craig Bellamy up top. I'll take that into the league now, to be honest. Like, that's a decent team, isn't it? That's a very decent team. I'm going to throw it. Do you know what? I think that's the best team we've drawn together so far.
Yeah, I think it is, actually.
I think that team gives plenty of other teams to run for their money.
I mean, you think the teams we've had over the last 20 years, maybe it's 15 since Bobby Robson did get sacked, we've had some poor players and poor teams.
Oh, horrendous.
You know, you think, you go back, like a lot of my mates who I go to games, if they seen the 90s, I didn't, you know, I was too young to kind of remember the entertainers, although I still ran around in my strip as a bear. I don't really I didn't get football then. And now, you know, as Sav mentioned at the start of the show, we're lucky. We start the season right. If we can finish 17th, and it's awful. It's awful. Now you think back, you look at the names we've just mentioned there, the team, and it brings you a joy. It brings like, God, that's why I support the club. That's why I love the club. Because of players like that, not the dross we've gone through now. You know, you'll forget about that. Yeah. Eventually, it's memories like that that keep us going, and it's you know it's heartbreaking the state of that now, but it's good. You know, shows like this that kind of get you remembering why we support the club, and hopefully we can be there again in the future.
Just trying to make people fall back in love with the club. Remembering, I'm the same as you. I remember growing up. So my teenage years, I expected us to be in Europe because that's where we always were. Yeah. And I saw I've been on some fantastic European away days, and I've seen us compete not even just to be in the top 4. I've seen us competing for the league, and I've seen us bring in world-class players, and I've seen us win some games very convincingly. And now it's just all I want to do with this is sort of like make people remember the good times and how good we actually were, because we were. People go, "Oh, Newcastle fans are deluded," but we're not deluded at all. We have the memories and we have the fan base that remember the fact we were the top 4 for a long period of time. We still got the record goal scorer. We were called the entertainers for a reason through that period. And even the team under Robson should be called the entertainers because we were phenomenal. And so if we could just bring Newcastle fans that little tiny bit of joy back rather than all the negativity that's going on.
You know what I'm finding that's sad at the moment is that every weekend I look on the timeline and whoever Fulham are playing, everyone else is supporting. And you think you would never like back in, you know, the days when we was doing well, imagine that would be the future. It's really sad. Like, we're actually driven to this now because, you know, I'm not going to mention names, but, you know, the money's not invested like it once was when we, you know, were doing really well. It's really sad.
We'll get back there one day.
Yeah,
we'll get back there. Well, I've got one more question, and it's absolutely not football related, and it's not one of your boys having a dig at you, Adam.
I've enjoyed that.
What are you on for the Grand National? Because I know Sam loves a little horsey bet.
Well, I'm going to have a little look into it because, to be fair, I've been a bit busy at work, but I will have a little look into it and I'll get back to you.
Whoa, big.
I'm always big onto the Grand National. Working in horse racing, you kind of like live and breathe it, but I don't work with the horses that are in the Grand National. I work with the little donkeys in the races. So,
I used to love it, me. When I was a bookie, Grand National Day. Cheltenham week was the best week, but Grand National Day was the best day of a bookie year. It was absolutely brilliant.
Sam's doing a preview show tomorrow night. I'm sure Sam's doing a preview show tomorrow night on the Grand National.
Oh, is he? I'll watch that.
So I'm hoping I wouldn't listen to all his tips because he cost me a fortune at Cheltenham. But
oh no! I always get my own sort of view on it. I don't listen to other people's tips because I've done exactly the same and just spent loads of money and lost it. Because you get that like at the yard, you go around and everyone's like, "Oh, I'm going to put a bet on this one," and then I used to be like, "Okay, they know what they're talking about. I'm going to win," and then I lost it all.
That's betting.
Yeah,
betting. Excellent plug, Adam. Well done. But we are going to call it quit there, and I'd like to say a very big thank you for Adam joining us tonight on the Magpie. Thank you very much, mate.
Anytime, mate. We really enjoyed it. Nice change.
Thank you to Sav for joining me weekly.
I'm always here.
The abuse.
That's what I'm used to. It's fine.
It's all right. It's all right. It's all good fun. Do not come for me, Sav fans. Right, we're going to call it that. Thank you very much for joining us tonight. Everyone take care.